Hi, everyone, and welcome to FirstandCedar Knitting, a podcast where I talk mostly about all of my knitting, my crochet, maybe some sewing in the future when I get a sewing machine available to me again, and all things crafty. My name is Megan, and I am so glad you're here. In this episode, it's actually not a regular podcast episode. I did one last week where I was talking about the projects that I'm making. I've made good progress on them, but this week I wanted to do something a little bit special that I saw someone else do, and I wanted to talk about patterns that I've knit more than once. And so these are like favorite patterns that I've gone back to over and over and over again. Some I've had a chance to make one or two or three, some even more. And so I'm really excited to share all of these with you because I think it's fun to see what patterns people really like and how they do them and how they even look differently made by the same person. So we're going to do that. I have 5 different patterns that we're going to go over and talk about, the different patterns that I've made more than once. As for what I'm wearing, I am wearing a self-drafted linen top, which I am really excited to be able to wear. It's finally warm enough. It's just a raglan linen top with a pretty generous neckline, and it shows my sports bra strap, which I don't really care about. It comes in nice and deep and open, so it feels breathable. It's this beautiful linen that I bought off of Etsy from Latvia, and I bought it and held it double for this, and then I added on the side this cute little just breezy design here in the back, just some extra holes, mesh triangle thing that just makes it even extra breezy just on the back. And when I finished it, I wish that maybe I had done 2 coming down the back, but I didn't because I was thinking I was just going to do. Anyway, it is what it is. And I really like it. I wear it quite a bit. It's very comfortable. It doesn't have stretch, so like the wool does. And it's getting softer and softer. I've had it for a couple of years now, and the linen, I can tell as I've washed it and worn it, it's getting softer. And the drape is just so much fun, and this color is really, really great. So let's get into it with the first pattern. The first pattern we're going to talk about is one that I've made multiple times, and I have 4 of them here with me, and I have, I believe, 2 at home that I didn't bring with me to Japan, either because I didn't have enough space or I thought it was too precious to bring with me and I didn't want anything to happen to it while we were gone. We are an Army family. We're here in Japan for 2 years, and so I didn't bring everything with me during this move. So I don't have all of them here, but I have pictures and I can show you on my phone of the first 2. So the pattern that I'm talking about is the Zweig, Z-W-I-E-G pattern by Cailtin Hunter. It was released in March of 2018. And I saw it. I loved the look of the fit of it on her, on the model. She models her own stuff. And I loved the lightweightness of it. I liked the neckline on it specifically, and the yoke of it, which is pretty much the star of the show. So I've made it 6 or 7 times, all of them for myself. I'm going to show you guys the first one that I made. Getting the glare. And it was made with a Crimson Co. for the main color, and I think it was a Madeline Tosh single skein that I had of cream with some speckles on it, very light speckles for the color work and the lace portion of it. I made this one during 2020, during COVID, and knitted up really fast. I love the length of it, and I love the length of the sleeves. I do like that the yoke of it comes down. So that was my first one. It was a blue one. And then This one, sadly, while I was pregnant with my son, we were living in Colorado and moths got into it. And I last time I looked at it and why I didn't bring it, I pulled it out and it had some moth holes in it. I still have some of the yarn, so when I get back home in 6 months, I will probably pull it out again and look into mending it. The second version that I made of it was actually a short sleeve version of it. Um, a short sleeve version of it with no color work. And this was made in a pearl Soho yarn, and I forget the name, but it's got like cotton and I think yak, maybe alpaca. I think it's a cotton alpaca mix. Um, and it's in a natural color and it's in the gray. My mom bought it for me for my birthday, which is why I don't remember the details because I didn't actually buy the yarn. But I made it short sleeve version because the neckline does lend for it to be versatile in that way. Absolutely love that pattern. I don't know why I didn't bring it with me. Um, and then the third one that I made, which I've shown on the podcast here before because I've worn it while I've been recording, is this purple version. Again, I made it without the color work portion at the top. I did it all in the solid color of the lace, and then I omitted also the color work at the bottom. I don't do the cabling, the little mini cables that are add texture to the body either. I like simple knits, and so I've just modified the pattern to be simple. Love this one. If you want to see more photos, I have more photos on my Instagram of it. So this is one that I made when I finished it right as I was found out that I was pregnant with my son. So that'll be coming up on 3 or 4 years now. Absolutely love it. It's in really great shape still, and this was 100% merino fingering weight. It is a fingering weight pattern. I've worn this one over and over and over again. Absolutely love it. Brought it with me. It was one of those sweaters that I did bring with me to Japan. I love this purple color. So this one was the third one that I made. And when we first got to Japan, I had brought some yarn with me for a project, and it was for another Zweig. And so this was the next iteration of it that I made, and it is in a beautiful orange color. And because we moved here right in November, and so I kind of had Thanksgiving and fall on the brain. I did do the color work in this one, and I did do the lace in a contrast, not contrasting, but just a different color. It's a monochrome one. Again, I love the fit of this. It's loose, and then it's got and so this was another one that I made. It hasn't gotten as much wear, I think just because it's in the back of my closet and the orange does look good. I feel like it's quite seasonal and I don't just wear it year round. So here was another one. This one was my comfort. Just moved to a foreign country, trying to figure out raising two kiddos in a country where I don't speak the language. I had this with me. And so I'll probably keep this one forever. It will always be the first sweater I knit in Japan. And yeah, love this pattern. And the next one that I made, I mixed it up even more. It was last year we still were kind of just here, and you're gonna be like, that's not the same sweater, but it is. So what I did was I had just some some generic sock yarn, 75-25 fingering weight, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't have just going through all the stuff we went through moving here. I didn't have it in me to do the lace or color work or figure out another color. So I did it, and all I did was I took the lace out. And so I just did the rounds of lace in solid stockinette. And when the lace pattern after so many rounds said it would have increased, I increased and kept going and just did this basic blue one. Probably needs a bath. It's got a stain here, which I wore a lot. It has tilled a little bit, and that just speaks to the quality of the yarn. I used a very inexpensive yarn, but I love the silhouette of the pattern and how it fits so well, and it's so familiar. I know it's going to work. I know it's going to fit and be nicely oversized. That it was very much a comfort knit when I needed it, and I absolutely love my blue. I call it the Zweig less Zweig. So it didn't have the lace pattern, but it's the same shape. And then recently, and this is one of my most recent finished objects that I talked about here on the blog, and it's going to go back into the works in progress pile because the sleeves are not long enough. I had this beautiful Rambouillet fingering weight yarn in this really lovely green. I bought this here in Japan, and the reason it's going to go back to being a whip is that the sleeves are not quite long enough and they're very wide. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to start my decreases sooner, and I'm going to knit the sleeves longer. I'm actually probably going to measure the sleeves on the blue one and try and see if I can just put these sleeves on here. I will probably have to go back and see if I can find more yarn. I think I'm going to need one more 50-gram ball to be able to complete this one. But here it is, the most recent version of the Zweig. And I do love the bigger neckline. I know some people don't want that, but this is a fingering weight sweater. It is a perfect late spring sweater, early fall when it's still quite warm. Absolutely love, because it's got the lace at the thing, and I just wear it with a white tee underneath, and then the lace just shines because you can see the white shining through underneath. And so yeah, so here are my and I do love the colors variations that I've picked so far. Very deep, very me colors. That's not one. So yeah, the Zweig. I've knit this one 6 times. 4 of them are here, 2 of them are still back at home, and I wish I had them here with me because I'd be wearing them. I would have worn them all winter. And it really has only been in the last few years that I've become a decent garment knitter to the point where I really enjoy wearing my hand knits. So that's my first pattern. I highly recommend it. Oldie but a goodie. You can't go wrong within the pattern itself. Just doing it different ways. I feel like I have so many different sweaters from the same pattern, and I absolutely love it. The next pattern I'm going to talk about, I only have one little sample here for me. And the reason why I don't have very many with me is because it is a children's pattern, and it is one of my favorite patterns. And I wish I had more, but honestly, my children outgrew them. If I didn't bring them, or I've given them away and passed them on because my children won't wear anymore. So yeah, sorry, phone messages. So the pattern is the Bloomsbury sweater by, and I'm gonna hopefully say her name. I'm gonna try my best. Svetlana Volkova. I'll have the patterns that I talk about linked down below. And it is a worsted weight, almost Aran weight, with a beautiful lace pattern that starts, and then there's this, as you increase on the front here to form the sleeves, it kind of creates this like V look that comes down that looks just super feminine, super adorable. I made this one for my daughter not years and years ago because she's only 8, but she was little when I first made her first one. It was a gold colored one. You can really see the lace with that color of yarn. And the yarn that I first bought, it was my first ever, some of my first ever hand dyed yarn, and it was naturally hand dyed by Liesl from Buffalo View, which she used to have a blog that I loved reading even when I was back in college, and she doesn't really do as much anymore. So sorry, a message. But I absolutely loved that first ever skein that I got. I got a couple of skeins from her, and I loved them. Loved that they were naturally dyed. I made a sweater for my daughter. She was maybe a year and a half to 2 years at the time. Since then, I have made countless Bloomsbury patterns, and I love the lace motif. I made one in a lighter weight, adjusted the pattern, and adjusted it to fingering weight, and made it with short sleeves for her back in the day. And then most recently, I had made her this like bright blue one, and this was just made back in 2021. And as I was looking through it, she doesn't have one in her current size, and I think that that is a shame. And so I will be ordering some yarn to be able to knit her one. So you will probably see one of these come up here in the um, very near future. So this one is actually a pretty flexible make because it is a worsted weight pattern. I have though been able to make it with fingering weight, and this sample is actually I made it from fingering weight, I've made it in DK weight, and I've made it in worsted weight. This one is DK, but it's two fingering strands held together to make the size. And so for this one's a newborn size, but I think it's actually, I've adjusted it because I've kept the neck hole cast on stitches the same, and I've just made my raglan a bit smaller once I knew I was going to get to the circumference that I wanted on the sleeves and on the body. And so I made this mini version, but yeah, countless, and I've seen pictures of some where they do it with a fingering weight or a DK weight and a mohair held, and just the halo and the beauty, just like of the sweater on a medium-sized child. Absolutely adorable. Very simple pattern. Again, the detail at the front here coming down just adds a special touch to the front because the lace just kind of starts here and then goes down to the sleeves. Highly recommend it. It's the Bloomsbury pattern by Svetlana Volkova. And once again, I'll post in everything on my drop down thingy with a link to all of these patterns in Ravelry and some stuff. But yeah, for a kids pattern, absolutely love this one. Have knit it multiple times for multiple nieces, and there's many sweaters out in the world of this one. And like I said, I need to cast on another one for her in just a pretty beautiful color for her, and I'm super excited. And the next pattern that I'm going to talk about is actually an accessory, and it's one of my most recent purchases, but I did make it several times. And this pattern is actually called the Deep Winter Hat, and it is by the designing duo Wool and Pine, and I forget the names of the designers, but you can find it. And this is a hat pattern, which I made one hat for each of my family members, my immediate family, the kids, my husband and I made some extras that I actually sent out as Christmas gifts this last year. I am starting a new tradition that every year I'm going to pick a hat pattern that I haven't done before, that comes in a full variety of sizes, and everyone will get a new hat at the beginning of winter. And for my husband and I may not do this every year because our heads aren't going to change that much, but for the kids, because their heads grow, I wanted to be able to make them. I end up having to make them a new hat every winter. So this is my toddler version, and it is, again, the Deep Winter Hat, and it has cables and texture and a twisted rib at the hem, which you can twist up and you can fold it long enough. And I have these little tags made. It says handmade by me, Megan DeSonier, and I put the year on it. That way, as they grow and maybe their heads don't grow as much, then they can repeat hats, or for the hats that me and my husband, or if I make for extended family, they can remember what year I made it. And so here's my son's hat. And Um, oh, she got slime on it. This is my daughter's version of the hat, and these have not been blocked. I don't block my hats. I let them wear them, and when it comes time to wash them, I will then give them a gentle wash and a block so they don't stretch out. Again, the handmade in 2023, so it was just this last winter. Can fold it up, and actually the kid size I found fits. Oh, I got earbuds in. Fits me really well. So this one should fit her a couple of winters, and you can also wear it like a slouch beanie. Um, Absolutely love it. This was the first version of it that I made, and it's just a solid blue, the cables and the texture. Again, the tag on it, and then this was my husband's version. Um, these these three were a where the yarn was by Knit Cafe Creations or Knit Cafe Yarn. I have one more skein left. I bought a set of four. She was doing a sale at one point. I think of just either some leftovers, just some random skeins that were left, and I ordered one and I just said, hey, I am making hats for husband, wife, male child, female child. Could you please include a color to kind of fit each one of those things? So like neutrals for the grown-ups and some fun speckles for the kids. And she delivered absolutely gorgeous speckled yarn for each one of these. And then the fourth one is a pink, but I didn't end up using it. I did the blue one for me. And so I've made these two. I did another one as a gift for my daughter's little friend so they could have matching hats. And then I made two more because I sent one to each one of my sisters. And since this is a DK weight, one I made with fingering and mohair, which was absolutely gorgeous. And the second one, I think I did the same thing for my other sister. So they both got mohair hats from me this year, which hopefully kept their heads warm. Um, the one that I sent to my younger sister, I actually bought natural yarn, undyed, unprocessed, superwash. The same thing with the silk. It wasn't a silk mohair, it was a cotton or a wool mohair. So the center strand was wool, and completely natural. Super excited for that for her. And I told her when the how outlives his life, you can actually probably compost because she has a garden. You can probably, because there's no dye in it. It's not been processed. It just has the milling oils or like the weaving oils in it. But by the time the hat dies or is done, that will all have been washed out because she will have washed it a few times. And so yeah, the wool is completely natural. And for me, that was a very special gift to give to my sister. So I haven't yet picked a hat for the 2024 winter. It's right now it's May. I have plenty of time. I usually start doing my winter hats in like October, early November. Since I did a cabled one for 2023, I'm thinking 2024 will be maybe a simpler one by one, maybe twisted rib beanie. I do like the idea. I have a hack that I did of the Oslo hat, where it makes the brim. I folded it over like you do the Oslo hat, but then I didn't do the other things that the Oslo hat does, and I did it in a rib, and it came out really nice, and it's extra warm for the ears. And so I might do a self-drafted pattern. I need to order my little tags so they come in that say handmade by Megan in 2024, and stay tuned and we'll see what hat pattern I end up picking. But for now, so nice. I've knit it several times. Deep Winter Hat by Wool and Pine. Before I forget, we move on to our next one. I did say she got slime on it because she's 7 when I made it. So she got a chunk of slime stuck onto her hat. Excuse me. Pro tip: vinegar dissolved slime. So I had to figure out how to get slime out of stuff because our household has slime in it at times. And I have a toddler along with a 8-year-old now, and so slime gets places. So I'm not worried about this. I'll just dip this section of the hat into vinegar. Vinegar doesn't hurt wool. Um, some dyers even use vinegar as the binding for the dye to stick to it. So worst case scenario, you make more of the dye stick to your yarn, to the yarn fibers, and then you have, yeah. So pro tip, if you ever get slime on stuff that you just need it gone from, um, vinegar will dissolve it. All right, so our next pattern, which is one that I've knit several different times, and I have here, this is a recent one for me. I just knit both of my versions that I made for this last winter, winter 2023 to 24, and I also knit one for each of my kids. This is not an all-inclusive pattern. I had to buy two patterns, one in the adult size and one in the kid size. I bought the kid size first and loved it, so then I bought one in my size so that I could make one too. And it is the Ankers sweater by Petit Knit. And this is the toddler version that I made for my son. He has since outgrown it, so this next winter he will be needing a new one. I found this one when I was looking for a fairly unisex, but not just a regular raglan sweater that I could make to make one for both my son and my daughter. Since then, since I made this one, I have discovered a new designer. Her name is Hannah G Knits, and I'll link her below. She has a podcast blog type thing on here too, which I really enjoyed watching. And she has beautiful child patterns, a few of them out that I am thinking I'll probably knit for my son. Like she says, I had an easy time back when I just had a daughter. There's a lot of beautiful, more on the feminine side sweaters, but I wanted something a little bit more gender neutral that both my kids could wear now that I have a little boy. And I'm excited to maybe try out some of her patterns. But the Ankers sweater by Petit Knit was one of those that I found, and it has this rib. It starts up straight at the rib, and you do your rib, and it has the added raglan seams here at the bottom to finish that growth that you need. I bought a cute little iron-on, which is coming loose, iron-on little tag to put it on the back, make it easier. So I made this one, and I made one for my daughter, and it is a DK weight pattern. I made one for my daughter, and I looked absolutely everywhere for it, and I can't find it, and it's been missing for a while, and so I'm wondering if she left it at school, and I need to go to her school and check the lost and found to see if her hand knit sweater is in there. But then I knit one for myself, and this is the first one that I knit. I hang my sweaters because I don't have enough room, but I don't hang them by the neckline because that would stretch them out. And so what I do is I fold them in half like this, and then I drape the sleeve and the body of the sweater so that it hangs like this in my closet. And so the weight of the sweater is being pulled from the armpit and not the neckline, and it's half the weight on each side. And I do love the texture of the rib pattern here at the top. This one is knit out of a single ply DK weight yarn dyed by Surella Yarns, and this was the colorway Friends from her Knit Flicks collection, and I am a big Friends fan. I started watching it when I was in college. My freshman year of college was the final season of Friends. Those 2 years line up. You can do the math, figure out how old I am. But I remember watching it in my dorm my freshman year, the final season, and rewatching. I have had all the DVDs and stuff. So, love Friends. love watching it. And so I love the color of this sweater. It's the purple from the girls' apartment, hand dyed yarn. Um, it does pill a lot because it is a single ply DK. I haven't done maintenance on it in a while just because it needs it almost every time I wear it. Um, but that doesn't stop me from wearing it. It is so soft. The single ply creates such a squishy material. I wish it didn't pill as much. But yeah, this was my first version. And my second version, I recently gushed about this one on my Instagrams. Also purple, but a deeper purple. You can get it with some indirect sunlight on it. And this was also hand dyed. And the dyer behind this one is called Green Letter Day, and she specializes in blanket quantities of yarn and blanket um, colorways. So you can buy enough to make a blanket. I absolutely love that. You can also buy just a single color, but she puts together these amazing color palettes to be able to make blankets. And then if you're doing like crochet granny squares, she has colors that you can then choose to put the border around to connect all of your granny squares, um, which I know a lot of hand dyers, they focus on color collections and yarn, but they're not specifically thinking about how's this going to look and how's this going to work if I'm trying to make a blanket. And I absolutely love Green Letter Day because of that. I've not yet been able to afford buying a blanket quantity of it, but I have bought several sweater quantities of her yarn, and I love her. I don't know what it is about her yarn. The weight of her DK weight yarn knit up is just, it's like a hug. When I wear this sweater, it's like wearing a hug, and I love it. It's got some weight to it, and maybe it's because I'm comparing it to very light fingering weight sweaters, like my Zweig sweaters, fingering weight, but it just feels so good and it's so drapey. I will be buying more of her DK weight yarn. I think I might just order some as soon as she has colors that I think my daughter would like for another Bloomsbury sweater for her. But yeah, so I've made 4 of these total, 2 in kid sizes, 2 in adult sizes. I'll probably be making another set of kid sizes the next size up, and I'll probably make another one not in purple for myself. I've got 3 purple sweaters now um, within my hand knit wardrobe, and so I feel like I need to branch out. But yeah, that was the Ankers sweater by Petit Knit, both the kid size and the my size. Um, love the pattern. Very easy knit, very relaxing knit, very hard to mess up. Really have enjoyed it. And we have one more pattern to go through. And our final pattern that we're going to go over is one that I've made 2 of. And again, it's a newer pattern. Just purchased it and knit my first one at the end of 2023, and then my second one here in 2024 that I've made. So we'll start with the first one, and this is the Sheep Camp Sweater by Jennifer Berg. Her handle on Instagram is Native Knitter. So Native Knitter, Jennifer Berg, that's the pattern. And it is a colorwork sweater. The Sheep Camp, it's a circular yoke. And made this one, this yarn, the orange yarn is Ottoman Indigo. I don't think she sells yarn anymore. I think it's discontinued, but I bought a sweater's quantity or almost a sweater's quantity. And then the cream color is the Good Wool by Pearl Soho. And I held it double. I held it single for the top part, and then I did hold it double down here. And if you look at it carefully, you can kind of see how this line is thicker than this one. But the fingering weight, it was plump enough. Excuse me, it was plump enough to keep up in the color work with the DK weight of this one. Absolutely love this color work. I like this color palette. It was sort of a happy accident. I bought it not knowing what color the quantity was going to be because she was selling out her yarn as she was closing down her yarn stuff. And so I got I think three skeins and she said they all matched, and I think the color was a surprise, and the composition of it was, I just knew it was DK. And I really like this one. I get a lot of compliments on this color and the pattern. People can't believe that I made it, but I do really like it. And I had so much fun making that one, and I love the finished product so much that I made a second one in a blue color to really kind of switch it up. The the navy blue at the top is actually a fingering weight yarn held double. It's Cascade Heritage. Talked about this one before on the blog, here on the podcast. And then the light blue is a single ply fingering weight Madeline Tosh that was like a light speckly thing that I over dyed with blue, and so it actually has quite a bit of dimension because there's speckles underneath, and then it's excuse me. I have that feeling of like needing to sneeze. But yeah, I might edit that out if I can. But yeah, absolutely love it. I did change the pattern. I did some modifications. I did do she has like a rolled collar, so you just kind of start with some knitting and it rolls up. I did an actual thing. Since I had made it and I knew the fit of it, I added an extra set of short rows at the back. I made the sleeves full length for me, and I made the body full length. And then because I had liked doing, basically this bottom color work isn't in the pattern, but it's starting from there down, just upside down. And then I did the ribbing in the blue, and I absolutely love those patterns. So those were 5 patterns that I have knit over and over again, some of my top favorites. What are your patterns that you love? I know a lot of people really love the ranunculus pattern. I have not made it yet. I feel like the Zweig is kind of my ranunculus for a lot of people. People love the ranunculus. I love the Zweig. It works for me. I know a lot of people have made the Oslo hat over and over and over again. I have made the Oslo hat. It is not my favorite fit for a hat, so I haven't made it as many times to where I wanted to talk about it because they never come out right. So I've made it more than once thinking, oh, if I make it again, I'll figure it out and it'll fit better. And I think that's just how it's supposed to fit, and that's not what I like. I think the fit is just not my fit of how I want my winter hats to fit. But yeah, what is your pattern that you've made more than once or that you keep coming back to? I would like to know. I want to know what patterns are out there that people have made over and over again. If you've made it this far, I am so glad that you are here and that you are watching. I'm very excited to put out more content. I will be back next week with a regular podcast to update you on what I'm making, which I'm really excited. I have made progress, but I did want to do this special episode where I kind of brought back some of my makes that I have already made and talk about some of my favorite patterns. Like I said, the patterns that I've knit more than once. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help my channel a lot, being that I am, like I said at the beginning of the video, I am here in Japan. YouTube has a hard time figuring out what's this lady doing in Japan talking about knitting and how to. So if you are in an English speaking country or stateside, if you can definitely like and subscribe, it'll help my viewership a lot because YouTube will figure out who this video is who would be interested in watching it since it's in English. But yeah, until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you get beautiful sunshine making time wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.